Have you ever wondered who might have been alive when your favorite historical figure was making their mark? From Leonardo da Vinci and Christopher Columbus to Charles Darwin and Gregor Mendel discussing life and evolution. Can you guess who else crossed paths with history's greatest minds? If you're curious about how these moments could have rewritten history, you won't want to miss this video. Let's explore these incredible moments in history. In 343 BC, a young Alexander the Great was just 13 when his father brought Aristotle to tutor him. Aristotle, one of the greatest thinkers, guided the future conqueror of the world. Around the same time, Buddha and Socrates could have shared their wisdom. Buddha lived from about 480 to 400 BCE, while Socrates lived from 470 to 399 BCE. It's possible someone could have learned from both of these great minds during his travels. Consider the time when Mary Queen of Scots, Galileo, Nostradamus, Sir Walter Raleigh, and Ivan the Terrible were all alive at the same time. Their lives overlapped in a world full of dramatic change and discovery. Leonardo da Vinci and Christopher Columbus both are famous today, but did you know Da Vinci was born just a year after Columbus? Columbus was born in 1451 in Genoa, Italy, and Da Vinci in 1452 in another part of Italy. When Theodore Roosevelt was 7 years old, he attended Abraham Lincoln's funeral procession. It's incredible to think that a future president saw the end of another's life firsthand. Orville Wright, born in 1871, lived until January 30th, 1948, overlapping with Neil Armstrong, who was born in 1930 and was 17 when Orville passed away. Charles Darwin and Gregor Mendel, two scientists whose work laid the foundation for modern biology, lived during the same century. If they had met, they could have answered each other's questions about life and evolution. When Napoleon Bonaparte fought the Battle of Waterloo in 1815, Abraham Lincoln was just 6 years old. By the time Napoleon died in 1821, Lincoln was 12. Around this time, Ada Lovelace, who would become the first ever programmer, was also just a child. Benjamin Franklin, a key figure in America's founding, was alive when Isaac Newton, the mathematician who discovered gravity, was still making his mark. Franklin was born in 1706, and Newton died in 1727, meaning their lives overlapped. Pablo Picasso, one of the most famous artists in history, lived from 1881 to 1973. His life even overlapped with that of Jimi Hendrix, the legendary musician born in 1942, who passed away in 1970. In 1913, Vienna was home to some of the most influential figures of the 20th century. Adolf Hitler, Joseph Stalin, Leon Trotsky, Josip Broz Tito, Vladimir Lenin, Sigmund Freud, and Archduke Franz Ferdinand all lived in the same neighborhood. Imagine walking into a cafe and seeing them all there, unaware of how they would shape the world. Can you guess what they all were doing in Vienna? Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X, two leaders of the civil rights movement, were alive at the same time. They only met once, but that brief moment is captured in a famous photograph. During World War I, J.R.R. Tolkien and Adolf Hitler both fought in the Battle of the Somme. They were on opposite sides, but their paths might have crossed on those war-torn fields. Albert Einstein, born in 1879, was still alive when Stephen Hawking was a young boy. Hawking, born in 1942, was just 13 when Einstein passed away in 1955. Even in modern times, surprising connections exist. Donald Trump, the 45th President of the United States, was born in 1946. He lived through the final years of Joseph Stalin's rule over the Soviet Union, as Stalin died in 1953. Salvador Dali, the surrealist artist, and Walt Disney were alive at the same time and even collaborated on a short film called Destino. Saddam Hussein, born in 1937, was just 8 years old when Adolf Hitler died in 1945. Both were dictators whose actions would lead to immense suffering. Queen Elizabeth II, born in 1926, had the longest reign in British history, starting in 1953. During her reign, she saw many world leaders come and go, including Winston Churchill, who was born in 1874 and served as Prime Minister during her early years as Queen. 18th President of United States, Ulysses S. Grant, born in 1822 and died in 1885, overlapped with Churchill by 11 years. Isn't it fascinating that history is filled with missed opportunities and unfulfilled potential? If you could bring one historical figure back for a day, who would it be? I'd love to hear your answers.